Okay, you are welcome. In this video, we are going to look at the concept of anatomy of hearts. Introduction to the heart. The heart is a muscular organ located in the thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavities are bones that are found in the chest. So usually the heart is found in the thoracic cavity of the chest. And the major functions of the heart in the body is responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. And we know that, ladies and gentlemen, our body transports nutrient and oxygen through blood as a medium. And this blood is usually pumped and transported through the body or throughout the body using heart. So heart is a pump that pumps the blood and circulates throughout our body. And very importantly, understanding anatomy of the heart is essential for comprehending how it functions. So if you are able to understand the anatomy, how the heart looks like, it's really give an ease understanding of how the heart work. So this is the structure of the heart, as we can see. So now, where is the location and size of the heart? Where do we have heart and what are the size of the heart? So the heart is situated slightly to the left of the middle of the chest. So if you really want to see your heart, you check the left of the midline of the heart. So we usually check the left part of our chest. That is where the heart is located. And very importantly, it is about the size of a fist weighing between 250 to 350 grams in adult. So the size of the heart usually is measured to be around 250 to 330 grams in adults. And this is how the heart is. So you see, this is the second intercostal space, and this is the third intercostal space. So if you can see, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that the heart is located at the left of the midline of the chest. This is where it's located. And then very importantly, the heart is enclosed by a protective sac called the pericardium. So pericardium is a protective sac that contains the heart, and its main function is to protect the heart from mechanical organs or from attack or from damage from any organs as well as any external agents. So pericardium is an enclosed package that includes or contains our hearts. So what are the heart chambers? So generally we have four chambers of the heart, especially in the human heart. We have two atria and then two ventricles. So we have two atria and two ventricles. And the right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from the body. So our right atrium is a part of the atrium that receives deoxygenated blood. That is blood from our body. So usually blood from the body is deoxygenated blood. So it is the atrium or the right atrium that receives the deoxygenated blood. And as we can see, this is where we have the four chambers. We have left atrium, left ventricle, and we have right atrium, and then we have right ventricle. So it is the right atrium that receives deoxygenated blood. It means that this is where the oxygenated blood is received. That is the blood that is actually coming out from other part of our body or from part of our body to the heart. So it is usually collected and at the right atrium. And then very importantly, the left ventricle here pumps oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. So the oxygenated blood, that is the pure blood from the heart, pumps out or takes blood away from the heart from the left ventricle. So the right atrium receives deoxygenated blood, while the left ventricle pumps out oxygenated blood to the rest of our body. So then the next thing after the heart chambers is also heart valves. So there are four main valves in the heart, and we shouldn't forget about them. We have four main valves in the heart. We have tricuspid, we have pulmonary, we have mitral, and we have aortic. These are the four valves of the heart. Tricuspid, pulmonary, mitral, and aortic. So these are the four valves on our hearts. So the major functions of these valves is to ensure that blood flows in one direction through the heart. So these are the major functions of these four valves. That is the tricuspid, pulmonary, mitral, and aortic. Their main function is to make sure that the blood flows in one direction throughout the heart. And the another important things of these heart valves, the prevent backflow and maintain efficient circulation. As whenever blood flow one direction, so it is the work of these heart valves to prevent the blood flow so that the blood will actually maintain efficient circulation. So you see, these are the heart valves. As we can see, we have tricuspid valve. This is where we have it. And then we have pulmonary valve. This is where we have it. And then we have aortic valve here. And then we have mitral valve. So these are the four valves that are found on the heart: pulmonary valve, aortic, mitral, and tricuspid. And their major role is to make sure that the blood is flowing in one direction. So blood flow through the heart. Blood flows from the body into the right atrium via the superior and anterior vena cava. So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that the right atrium is actually the part of the heart that receives deoxygenated blood. And the flow from the body into the right atrium is via the superior and inferior vena cava. So the blood flow from the other part of the body to the heart through superior and inferior vena cava. And from the right atrium, that is the blood received, the oxygenated blood from the right atrium, the blood moves through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. So when the blood are received, that is when the oxygenated blood are received from part of our body to the atrium, then from there, the blood from the right atrium will move. It will move to tricuspid valve into the right atrium. So it means that from the right atrium, it will move to the right ventricle through tricuspid valve. And then after there, the blood from the right ventricle will pumps blood to the lungs through the pulmonary valve. So you see, blood from the body to the atrium, and then from the atrium to the right ventricle, and then from the right ventricle, the blood will pumps to the lungs through the pulmonary valve. So you see here, from the body to the right atrium, and then from the right atrium to the right ventricle, from the right ventricle to the lungs. And how does it get from the right atrium to from the right atrium to the right ventricle? Is through tricuspid valve. And also it moves from the right ventricle to the lungs through the use of pulmonary valve. So these are actually how blood flow through the heart. So see, I think you can Always remember this, from the body to the right atrium, and then from the right atrium to the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve, and then from the right ventricle, it will now move to pulmonary valve. Sorry, it will now move to the lungs through pulmonary valve. So this is how the blood flow. So then the next thing is pulmonary circulation. What is pulmonary circulation? In the lungs, blood receives oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. So usually in our lungs, the blood receives oxygen and then it releases carbon dioxide. So oxygenated blood returns to the heart via the pulmonary veins. So you see, in the case of the pulmonary circulation, usually the oxygenated blood returns to the heart via the pulmonary veins. But like in the other types of the circulation, it's not actually, it is deoxygenated blood that usually come to the heart. But in the case of pulmonary circulation, is the oxygenated blood that returns from that usually returns to the heart. And this is usually through pulmonary veins. So pulmonary veins are the veins that carry oxygenated blood. But we know that usually veins, they carry deoxygenated blood. But in the case of pulmonary circulation, the oxygenated blood usually returns to the heart using pulmonary veins. So then very importantly, this blood, that is the oxygenated blood, usually enters the left atrium, completing the pulmonary circulation loop. So that is what actually happens. So the blood, the oxygenated blood returns to the heart, to the left to the left atrium using a pulmonary veins. So what is the systematic circulation? So in the case of systematic circulation, the left ventricle pumps oxygenated rich blood into the aorta. So you see, in the case of systematic circulation, we are talking about how the left ventricle pumps the oxygen-rich blood, that is oxygenated blood, into the aorta. So the movement of oxygenated blood from the left ventricle into the aorta is what we call systematic circulation. So you see, understanding these differences, pulmonary circulation returns oxygenated blood through pulmonary vein. But in the case of systematic circulation, it is the left ventricle that pumps oxygenated blood into the aorta. And then very importantly, from that aorta, the blood is distributed to the rest of the body. So that is what happened in the case of systematic circulation. So first we have left ventricle, which pumps blood to the aorta, and then from the aorta, the blood will be distributed to the rest of the body. So this systematic circulation delivers essential nutrient and oxygen to tissues. So because the aorta usually distributed oxygenated blood. So along the way, as the aorta trying to distribute the blood to the rest of the body, it carries nutrient and oxygen to the tissues. So then after systematic circulation is heart wall structure. So what do we have in the heart wall structure? So in the heart wall structures, it consists of three layers. We have, number one, we have epicardium, we have myocardium, and we have endocardium. So these are the three heart wall layers. So the heart wall, it consists of the three layers: epicardium, myocardium, and endocardium. So the myocardium is the thickest layer responsible for heart contractions. So the myocardium is the thickest layer that found in the heart wall and is responsible for the contractions of the heart. And then the next one is endothelium, endocardium line. So for the endocardium lines, the heart chambers and bulbs providing a smooth surface. So the endocardium lines is the lines, the heart chambers, and the valves. And the major function is actually providing a smooth surface. So endocardium, it is actually the lines that found or that contain the heart chambers and the valves. So these are the heart wall. So we have myocardium, and then we have epicardium, and then we have endocardium. So the free cardial activity can also be monitored. So then the next thing is electrical conducting system. So the heart has its own electrical conducting system. So this electrical conducting system of the heart, we have SA node and AV node. So see, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, it is more of actually introduction of the anatomy, because anatomy is just to give you a highlight on the structure of the organ or the structure of living organism. So these knots, that is the SA knot and AV knots, are the knot that regulate the heartbeat and coordinate contractions. So the heartbeats and the contractions of our heart are regulated by SA and AV knots. So the conduction system, it ensures efficient blood flow throughout the body. So it is this conducting system that makes sure that there is an efficient blood flow throughout the body. And very importantly, in conclusion, the anatomy of the heart is complex, but essential for its function. So if you really want to know the functions of the body, that is the physiology of the heart, so you need to know the anatomy of the heart. So understanding how blood flows through out or through the heart helps in recognizing cardiovascular health. So continued research in cardiac anatomy can lead to advancement in medical treatment. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are going to stop. So in the next video, we are going to talk about the anatomy of pericardium. Thank you very much. See you next. Bye bye.